Welcome to Mad About Money. I'm Maddie Alexander-Grout, and this is the podcast where we talk to interesting people all about their interesting money stories. It's all focused towards people who have got neurodivergent or hidden disabilities. And it's very exciting. Today we have got Tania Gerard, who is a neurodiversity specialist, ADHD founder, and neurodiversity in the workplace trainer. It's so bloody lovely to have you. I'm so excited about this conversation because neurodiversity in the workplace is something that I am very, very interested in, considering my entire career has been spent job hopping and just having a really shit time in the workplace because of lack of support. So I think this conversation is very much needed. Tania, it's lovely to have you. Tell us a bit about you.
So I thank you very much for the introduction. It was amazing. So I'm the founder of Tania Gerard Digital. We do neurodiversity in the workplace workshops. I will get my words out across the UK. And it's been an incredible journey so far. We are very young. We only started this year. But we've excelled, and it really has been a life-changing journey for other people, especially as well as myself as well. So it's amazing to be here. I'm so honoured to be talking to you today as well. I followed you. You're absolutely incredible. You really are.
Oh, thank you, my love. Victory will get you everywhere. It's just nice to be able to talk really openly about things that are so important. And do you know what? The more people who do neurodiversity in the workplace stuff, the better, because we will start to make a change. There are so many people who don't focus on supporting their neurodivergent people, and
absolutely
it needs to happen, because first of all, it saves companies so much money. It stops people from leaving because they don't feel supported. My journey has been pretty horrendous when it comes to jobs. I worked out the other day that I've had 19 jobs. That's a lot of jobs. That's like
a lot of jobs.
Pretty much like one every other year for most of my life. And actually, I only started working when I was 15, maybe 14. So you can read about my job history in my book, because I'm actually writing. Yeah, I mean, it's the thing is, so many things have happened in my job history that have been absolutely hilarious. So I had to put them in the book. They were fun.
I'm so excited to read it. It's brilliant.
Who says that? And then I'm like, I don't know if it's going to be what people think it's going to be. That's the thing. So, no, I mean, people assume when you put out a book about ADHD, especially ADHD and money, that it's going to be like all of these, really eye-opening tips that are going to change your life. I mean, yes, there are tips there. But for the majority of it, it's basically the story of my life and all the fuck-ups that I made before I knew I had ADHD.
That makes it relatable, though. Some people, when we hear the same things over and over again, sometimes it does take us time. We can't just do one thing. Like, we have to keep hearing the advice and keep reading it. And then one day it just clicks, and then we can action it. So having relatable information and saying, I fucked up. I did this when I was 20. I did this when I was 18 and 25. They're the stories that make people feel less alone. And it's
Absolutely.
so important.
Yeah, I think it's there are some very core themes in my book, and I was thinking about like what is it about, because I've had to write my my Amazon description, and my publishers came back to me with this like very, very money focused description, and I was like, nah, that's got to go in the bin. Because yes, there are money tips in there. Yes, there are business tips in there. But it's also about my life. It's about my friendships, my relationships. It's about grief. It's about loss. It's about failed businesses. It's about the amount of freaking jobs I've had. Like, it's literally every single last thing that has happened in my life that's led to me being me. But the me that understands my brain and is actually really fucking happy with my life now, because I've learned to work.
Yourself.
Yeah, I am. Do you know what? It's like it's been a journey. And there have been several times in my life where I have not wanted to be here. And now I want to be here every day, and I want to be here like fucking smashing it and like helping as many people as I can. So that's the kind of the end part of it. Because it's really hard to end a book when it's like up, and it was like, oh, now okay, and now we're kind of up to today, so that's it done. I'm like, oh god, how the fuck do I end this thing? But I think I've done it in a way that's like positive, that keeps it open for another one potentially.
Good, smart.
Yeah, I mean, I've enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed it, but writing a book is really bloody hard, especially with ADHD.
Yeah, it's the journey, and it must be so special. I mean, hopefully I get to do it one day, but I think it must be special in a way because it's the journey of going through your life. Like,
yeah,
literally in your mind, you're just like, oh, this is what I did as a child and a young adult and as a parent. And then it just must be so. I'm so excited for you. I can't even get my words out. Like, it's just,
it's getting really real now though, because like my deadline is in like a week and a half. I know that I'm procrastinating about a few things, and also
analysis. Yeah,
it's that kind of like, I know when I start it'll be fine, but it is that task paralysis, and I do get that a lot. But it's also just I've had, and I've realized this for a while, I actually had a fear of success. For quite a long time. I was trying to keep myself small because last time I was successful, it blew up in my face and then it was really shit, which is one of the big topics I talk about in the book. Yeah. So I was keeping myself small, and I realized that actually for me to grow, for me to become the person that I know I need to be, I have to get this book out. So it is so important that it's like pressure. There's so much pressure there. And also, I'm a perfectionist, and I think that perfectionism comes a lot with ADHD. You know, we have to have, because of that fear of judgment, it's like, I need everybody to like me because I'm a people pleaser, but this is my story and I'm going to tell it how I need to tell it. People might not always like it. So I'm a bit like, this is fucking raw, and it's very vulnerable.
But like, it's an important story. It's an important story to tell because there isn't enough out there, as we all know. There's books on ADHD and other neurodivergent conditions, but they're so corporate, they're so structured. So it's refreshing in 2024 where there's, I can see an increase in people telling their stories, and it's relatable, like I said before, and it's important because if you're not telling your story, who is? You know?
Exactly. And it's better get me a fucking TEDx. It better get me a fucking TEDx. I really want one, and I'm like, I need to have a TEDx. But yeah, I think the importance of telling your story and telling it authentically and honestly. You know, no matter what people are going to think of you, because there are some bits in the book which probably make me sound like a complete and utter dickhead. And there are also bits in there that probably make me seem like I'm possibly a little bit crazy.
Being too hard on yourself.
Yeah, maybe.
It's raw. It's your life, and you only get one, and it's special. And I relate to not feeling like you want to be part of this world anymore either, because in my 20s I felt like that, but 20s are so hard anyway. It's so emotional and overwhelming, and there's a lot of times where you feel like you can't turn that corner, and it's such a brave thing to stay. And I think a lot of people don't really talk about that either. Like, it's so brave to be like, right, I'm gonna stop and I'm going to take a step back and I'm going to make a plan. And even if it scares me and I'm feeling completely fucking numb right now and I don't want to be here, I'm going to think of one thing that needs me to stay on this planet. And at that point, it was my dog. It was my dog.
People don't think enough about like the reasons why they should stay. And actually, I think there were, maybe three or four times in my book where I didn't want to be on this planet. And the one that, my family always pushed me forward. The idea of the fact that when you're lower than low, it can't get worse. You know, as D. Ream say, things can only get better. Like, but
Anyways up.
yeah, exactly. And in fact, that is actually, I've actually got that is a line in my book. The only way is up, in brackets.
Awesome.
So we're so on the same wavelength here, but yeah, it's very, very important for people to understand that, like, they can change their story, but the only person that is standing in their way is them.
Absolutely, completely agree.
Having been in £40,000 of debt twice, postpartum psychosis, being fired, you know, beginnings of cervical cancer, losing a business, which I think was possibly the hardest, you know, grief, losing boyfriends. You know, I talk a lot about limerence in my book, and, you know, the fact that, like, throughout most of my life, I've been obsessed with people, like, in a non-stalkery way, but, like, it's really difficult for ADHDers to have relationships, because we find people and we're like, right, I'm going to focus on that person. I want that person, and if that person isn't in my life, then like the whole world is over.
Yes, and absolutely. Yeah,
it's people don't talk about those emotions. So I am talking about everything that I have been through. So many different things, like parenting. Parenting with ADHD is bloody hard, especially when you have ADHD children. So anyway, it's not about my story today. It's about your story. So Tania, what is your money story?
So I'm going to reel it back all the way to childhood.
Excellent. Good place to start.
At a young age, I had the entrepreneur bug. So I used to sell homemade bracelets on stalls, and I organised a few school discos from, like, the budget and, like, what staff are going to be on the road, like the whole thing with the headmaster, to the point where I actually won a Young Entrepreneur Award, and I had to go to, like, the local town hall. It was.
I did that too. I make. You're gonna laugh. You're gonna laugh at the thing that I made. I made things like, basically, out of socks and lavender. I made these little balls that you put in your sock drawer that make your socks smell nice.
That's amazing.
A bit weird, but yeah, that was just, it was something that
they have, like, googly eyes. Did you turn them into
yeah, they were actual, like, little sock creatures. I feel like actually I should bring those back. I mean, who doesn't need nice smelling socks?
Who doesn't need to find a sock snake that smells of lavender? Oh my god!
They were more little people, so they were like, and the tights ones were the best. So, like, because they were little, they were kind of squishy, but they were little like made of tights, like cotton wool and lavender in the middle of them, and you put them in your sock drawer, and then it was like you had a little friend in your sock drawer. I used to talk to mine, which is actually a little bit weird.
No, that's so cute. I feel like ADHD kids, we used to talk to, like, cuddly toys a lot, and like make up, like, scenario. Like, I've still got my my little beanie baby dog that my dad gave to me when I was 6.
Oh,
so now being
actually, I don't know if you can see Mike. Can you see my little jelly belly cat, my little jelly baby cat?
Yes, the black one.
That's Jess cat. I've had Jess cat since I was about 5.
Oh, that's adorable.
I still have her at night. It's very sad, but very cute. It's attachment. It's an attachment thing, for sure. Anyway, I interrupted you. Carry on.
Will do. So then I'd say, like, the real kind of, like, first money problem experience was when I went to university, as I'm sure many of us did. So it was, like, the first experience of, like, freedom with money, and there was, like, government grants and bank cards with actual money on it. And then I got introduced to this amazing word called overdraft. I'd never heard before. And I was like, what's that? And all of a sudden I had this extra £1,500 in my bank account, and I was like, ooh. And as you know, as a young woman, 18, 19-year-old, you're all about, getting a dopamine fix with, like, material stuff. So it's like clothing and, like, perfume and, like, uni student nights out, which were like 50 to 70 quid at least. Like it was ridiculous. But then that added up.
Mm-hmm.
So I always thought, oh yeah, money will just keep coming in, until it didn't.
Mm.
So now I'm a lot less materialistic. I've learned some hard lessons along the way. You know, like I go more to the experience side, you know, like solo traveling, cooking classes, motorbike lessons right now, which are very interesting.
Ooh, that's cool.
I know. But the balance thing, I have terrible balance coordination, so it's been interesting.
I mean, is that a dyspraxia thing, maybe?
Well, I've got a bit of autism and ADHD. So I think, and it's also just I can't walk in a straight line or anything. So, and I haven't been.
That probably is dyspraxia. Like, you know, with as neurodiversity and the workplace specialist, we're not supposed to diagnose people, but we can see the signs.
Yeah, absolutely. So getting out of that debt, it took a while. It took years. You know, I'm being completely transparent now. You know, I tried to do the classic 50-30-20 rule, where, you know, like 50% of your income goes to your needs, 30% on your wants, 20% goes towards your savings. Never really went that way in terms of ratio for me. But every month I made sure I put something in that month. So sometimes it would be as low as £10-20, but it really was important to me to action it. And it, you know, it took years, but I was determined to erase it because I knew it would be good for me and my confidence, and it's something that would give my life going to that next stage in life. And there's been some things over the years that have helped me to become more adept on money. And it's a classic one. It's firstly trying to take a moment to think if you actually need it, which can be difficult for a brain like ours. But it's a practice I'm trying to master even now. So that would involve questions like, why would I want it? You know, will I still be using it or want it in 6 months? You know, because we have a knack for emotional spending and impulsivity spending, don't we?
We do indeed.
And with the money journey, I felt a lot of shame about it for a really long time, and it did affect my mental health as well. But then over the years, excuse me, you know, like researching my ADHD, you know, ADHD tax, you know, I felt less alone. It is a thing for us, and I didn't want it to be, you know, I didn't want to be a burden to anyone else, but I realised that it shouldn't be the case. You know, people, especially us British people, we kind of keep stiff upper lip and say that talking about money is like a dirty word. And well, you know, coming out of that debt, I felt like it was a necessity to talk about it. And I think it's important to like connect with people as well, and say, well, I went through this for years and I had this overdraft. Oh, well, I bought like a house or a car, and I at a young age, and I couldn't cope with the repayments, and this happened. It shouldn't be a dirty word, which is amazing what you're doing.
The whole reason why Mad About Money exists is to give people a non-judgmental space where they can talk about their money shit. Like, but it's hilarious. Like, ADHD tax happens in the funniest ways. I'll tell you my little story. Like, only this week where I've lost 200 quid. I'm hoping that I can get it back. But I decided that I was going to take the kids to London, which for me is incredibly daunting because I hate going to London on my own. But the kids have been asking me for ages, Mummy, we want to go to London. We want to go do some stuff. So I booked the train ticket. I booked the Natural History Museum. I booked Dopamine Land because, oh my God, who doesn't want to go to Dopamine Land? Super exciting. So exciting. So anyway, I booked all that. And then yesterday I was driving to Swindon to go and see one of my friends. And I was talking to the kids about like what the plan was for the summer holidays. So I was like, right, so you break up on Wednesday. And then on London, we're going to London on Friday. And then we're going to Camp Festival at the weekend. And I went, oh, fuck, I've double booked myself. So we're going to Camp Festival on Friday. So actually we can't go to London. So I'm just having to look. I've managed to get my train ticket fare back. Luckily, the Natural History Museum is free, so that's all good. So Dopamine Land, I'm hoping I can swap it for something else because I'm like, I don't want to not go. It's interesting that you say about saving, and like I found that the 50-20-30 rule didn't work for me, so I adapted it because I had so much debt to pay off. So I did the 50-10-40. So I actually spent, like, I managed to live on 10% of my earnings, like, for about 4 years, which was really difficult, but I gamified it. So I made it into something that was really fun. So how much money could I save? What is the least amount of money I can live on, like, without dying? That was pretty much where I was at with it. But one of the reasons why it is so difficult for people who have got ADHD to save is that they don't have a purpose or a goal for what they're saving. So people are like, oh, I need to save money. Well, that's fine, but what do you need to save money for? I mean, everybody should have that, like, that kind of emergency fund. I don't call it an emergency fund, by the way, because I feel like that manifests emergencies. It's a what if fund. Mine's my fun fund. And if I have to take things out of it for things that are not fun, it's fine. But for the majority, touch wood, I'm touching all of the wood, I don't have to take things out for the nasty things, because I basically give every penny a purpose, so that when something comes up, there is a fund for it. So I've got Starling bank account. I make sure that there is a purpose for every single piece of money that I make. And that gives everything purpose. I've been able to go on holiday every year for the last year. Like, I just went on a book writing holiday as well to Mallorca. Like, and I didn't feel bad about spending that money because that money was specifically for that purpose. So one of the things that people who have got ADHD need to understand is saving just for the sake of saving is not going to get you anywhere. You need to actually have a plan.
Spend it on crap.
Exactly. What is that money for? Because also, like, if we just have a savings pot, it's like, oh, but I could dip into it for this reason, or I could dip into it for that reason.
And you will. 100%.
Exactly. But if it's got a purpose, if it's like, I'm saving for a house, and then you feel bad because you don't want to take that money away because you're saving for a house. So saving has to have a purpose. Anyway, I digressed. Carry on.
But all of a sudden, relating to that, all of a sudden as well, when you have that, like, purpose and it's like house pot, we get like a dopamine fix on seeing the numbers go up as well. And like going on that journey of, oh, I'm not going to touch this because it's for the house. Oh, but I'd really like this. But then our brains are kind of like, well, let's think about it. We've got this house pot. Do we really want, is it more important than the house pot? And then all of a sudden we see the numbers go up and up and up, and then we turn it into a game in our heads with the numbers as well, don't we?
And what you said about, like, the questioning as well, I think that's really important to note, because, like, the question that I ask myself is, you know, very, very similar. Like, do I need it right now? Is it going to impact my life? Am I still going to need it in 6 months? Am I going to use it again? Because 9 times out of 10, it's just little things that I think I need at the time. And then I'm like, do I actually? And my last question, which I think is the most important, is if somebody gave me, say, 20 quid in cash, or I could buy this thing, what would I rather have? And 9 times out of 10, it's the cash.
I love that one. That's amazing.
It really helps with decision making. It's like, I mean, the other day, but it's also like, how much does it impact my life at that time? So I just spent £200 on a pitch for camping at Festival. And I weighed it up and I weighed it up. I can't go on Thursday. And I was told that if you don't go first thing on Thursday, it's on a hill and you camp on a hill. And I was like, that does not fill me with joy whatsoever. Like, the idea of camping on a hill for the first time with my child, that £200 where I know I'm going to get a flat piece of land that's by a toilet, where I've got some place for my kids to run around and feel safe, and I know that that is my specific place, that gives me the peace of mind. And for that, 200 quid, totally worth it. So it's about weighing up, like, how much the money and the spending actually impacts your life. And I think it's really important to actually take note of that.
I just had a excuse me, I just had like a proper ADHD moment. Sorry, when you were saying about the hill, my head automatically just went, on top of a hill, I'm just going to roll down in the middle of it.
That's exactly what I'm worried about. Like no one. I mean, that would make a really great it would make a great TikTok, but I still don't want to be on a hill. Like I can imagine like all of my stuff falling out at the end. I can imagine if it rains, this tidal wave coming and sweep it. I mean, I'm worst case scenario type brain as well.
We catastrophize thinking, don't we? We're just like, what is the worst case scenario? Why do we do that? Why do we like
I don't know.
End up in jail if we don't pay for this debt, even though we know we're going to pay and we're going to do it installments and we're all going to, why do we like catastrophize so much? But it's a comfort thing. It's like, if I think of the worst case scenario, I'm safe because no one else has said it to me. It's processed in my own brain, the worst case scenario, and I'm not going to let it get to that point. So then I can go autopilot and go through the process and not reach that worst case scenario.
I think that it's our brains trying to keep us safe, and I think that is very much. But at the opposite end of the side, like the scale, we've got our brains trying to keep us safe, so we massively catastrophize, but we're also risk takers. But I think we're also like, I have this really good saying, like, expect the worst and the best will be great.
Oh, I love that.
And I've had that since I was really, really young.
Oh, I love
that. And it protects me.
Yeah.
So like, you know, I've just done my business strategist course, and in my mind, like as soon as I'd submitted it, I'd failed because I needed to protect my emotions. And it came back, and of course I passed it. I mean, like, it's stuff that I do every day, so of course I passed it. But in my mind, I'd failed. Yeah. And I think we need to. I think it's our brain's way of going, like, you are safe, you are protected from this. So I was shortlisted to go on a documentary about ADHD with Chris Packham, which would have been absolutely fucking amazing. It didn't happen. It didn't happen. But the thing is, I think if I didn't have that expect the worst and the best will be great situation, like when they came back and said to me, you haven't been chosen, I'd have been like, oh my God, the whole world has ended, everybody hates me, rejection sensitivity dysphoria, like, oh, why am I so shit? But instead I went, okay, well, I kind of expected to not be on it anyway. So it is I think it's our way of protecting ourselves from rejection sensitivity dysphoria. Yeah. That's my theory.
But it's annoying, isn't it? Because I call my like dark thoughts and like protruding thoughts like head gremlins, you know, like classic reference, and like the bees in my head as well. So sometimes I say bees, sometimes I say like head gremlins. But it makes me feel so sad because it's the fact that we have to think of the worst case scenario to protect ourselves.
Yeah.
But that means we can't, like a neurotypical person, we can't just be like, oh yeah, well, if that happens, that's fine. And we have to go through this pain because it is literally physical and mental pain as well. We are preparing ourselves for disappointment. And I feel like, especially us ADHD kids, like we do that our entire lives. And I think that's why relationships get affected as well, because it's not just money and materialistic things and experiences. It's people as well. So we expect the worst out of people. So it's like boyfriends, for example, we're just like, oh, well, if he does that to me, then it's fine because I've already thought of the worst case scenario and I've thought out of plan A, B, and C of how to leave.
But then it's still the end of the world, isn't it? Like when it happens. And
I shouldn't be thinking that. I should be thinking, well, I trust my partner and I'm really happy right now and we're going on to this next stage. And it's like, but if A, B, C, and D, and E, and F, G happen, do you get what I mean? Like it's annoying. I
don't think we live in the moment as ADHD.
No, we're not present at all.
Not present. No, I think we're either future or we're past. we are stuck in that weird limbo. And it's like the phrase, you know, people like, you know, you get like these slogan t-shirts and they say like shit happens. Like for us ADHD does, I mean, shit happens all the time for ADHDers, but it's not just shit happens. It's shit happens and all the fucking aftermath about it, and like the rejection sensitivity dysphoria, the fact that we get paralyzed, we can't move forward, we get stuck in the present from that perspective, but we don't move forward because of the shit that's happened. So shit happens is the worst fucking thing ever to say to somebody who's got ADHD. Apart from everybody's got a bit of ADHD, because that's the shittest thing.
Don't even start me on that saying. Don't even start me. Everyone's got a bit of ADHD. Oh, fuck off.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, but
no, that is exactly what. Yeah, it's a pain.
You can't choose to have a disability. You can't just say, oh, that's just because of it. No, you're born with it.
It's trendy and it's popular. It's like, oh yeah, because we really want to have all these fucking things wrong with us. Yeah, brilliant.
Trend. Having ADHD, having dyslexia, dysgraphia, it's not a trend. It's a disability that comes with mental health conditions.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh my God.
You go, preaching to the choir, my sister.
One day.
Yeah. It's an interesting one. So
that's why your book is so important. That's why your book and other people's books are so important, with the raw stories. Just exactly what we've just been saying, to debunk all the silly myths around our disabilities and say, look, this is the crap I've gone through. These are the good things that I've gone through. These are the strengths. These are the positives. These are the difficulties. They aren't weaknesses. They are difficulties. And again, that's why your book is so important, because it's so raw, and it's like, I am a human that has this, and want some insight into my life, into some life experiences, into some struggles. Have the book, read my experiences, get educated.
Exactly. Like fucking learn about the shit, but also learn that you can thrive and you can survive when you have neurodivergent conditions.
Absolutely.
You know, there are, like, I mean, I've been having this argument a lot on social media recently, the whole like ADHD is a superpower thing. Whilst I think that ADHD as a whole is not a superpower, it is incredibly debilitating for a lot of people. I think that every single fucking human on this planet has the ability to have superpowers. They just need to be in the right mindset. They need to do the right things, and they need to work with their bodies, with their brains, to get them to push forward. And when you're happy in your life, you feel like you have superpowers. That doesn't mean I'm saying ADHD is a superpower. But if you are happy, if you are working with your brain, you can turn your difficulties into superpowers. Doesn't mean you're still going to have days where you don't fucking want to get out of bed, because of course those days still happen. Especially like on the PMDD days, because I have that as well. But if you like, and this goes for anybody, like mindset is so important to helping you to get over whatever struggles you've got. Like, there have been so many times in my life where, as I've said, you know, in my book, I didn't want to be here. But it's about that change in mindset of, actually, there are people that want me to be here. I'm safe. I am protected. Yes, there's some shit happening, some really horrible shit, like someone's taking me to court, or someone's trying to sue me for this, or like, you know, I've lost a business, or like I've had all of these things. But when you reframe your thoughts and you push forward, there is light at the end of the tunnel. You just have to work out where it is, and small steps. You know, your life's not going to change overnight. If you'd have asked me 2 years ago, like, how I was feeling, I didn't want to be here. My business had failed. Like, everything was shit. Now everything is awesome. And, you know, I mean, not everything is awesome. I still have like debilitatingly horrible autoimmune disease and like all of these things that happen. But my outlook is positive, and that is really important.
That's so strong. Like, I relate to so much of what you just said is actually unreal at a scale. I mean, and the whole superpower thing. I mean, I have said recently that it is a superpower, but I think sometimes it's taken out of context. So what you just said is really relatable. What I mean when I say it's a superpower, it's more actually relating to me. So I am the superhero because I have used the superpower of ADHD to save my own life. And
absolutely. And this brings me on to another part on the so this brings me on to another part of my book where I talk about how every single person who has a neurodivergent condition is entitled to and fully right on how they see their own neurodivergent conditions. Whether they see it as a superpower, whether they see it as the worst thing in the world, they are right, because it is down to the individual how they see themselves and how they see their lives.
Yeah. 100%.
Mic drop. Boom.
Love it.
So how did you decide, well, how did you discover that you had ADHD to start with?
So it's an interesting journey with me, actually, because I was diagnosed as a child around 7 or 8. And there's a story my mum really likes saying, is that she knew that I had ADHD during nursery because she kept getting called in by the headmaster or the nursery head or whatever it's called. And I was helping kids climb over the wall to escape the nursery. And she was like, that ain't normal.
Love it.
That ain't normal. And then a couple of years later, we went to the doctors together and I was diagnosed with ADHD.
That's cool.
And then later on, about 20, at the age of 25, sorry, I'm just telling my partner I'm in an interview, I do apologise. At the age of 25, I didn't feel comfortable with that official thing, like I have ADHD. So I went back. I was very, very fortunate to be in the position of affording a private therapist and going to a psychiatrist, and they did the normal all diagnosis, tick boxes, scenarios, the lot, and they came back saying you've got autistic ADHD. And I was like, yeah, that sounds completely right. I get it, understand. So it was strange, because growing up from child to adult, I was like, there is something extra about me, and it's not just the ADHD, and I could never quite put my finger on it. And I dabbled in research over the years, but it wasn't until kind of like 24 onwards I was taking it more seriously about my diagnosis as well. So it's been an interesting journey. And then obviously, of course, creating a business this year about ADHD as well. It's just, and I'm learning every day. You know, I'm an expert and I know everything about neurodiversity, because no one is an expert in neurodiversity. There's something new discovered every single day. So I'm learning, everyone else is learning. It is a journey. It is a journey of life.
It is. So let's talk a little bit about neurodiversity in the workplace, and why is it so important? Because I think there's not enough people who are actively shouting about this, like, you know, and it needs to be brought to the surface. So tell us why it's so important.
I 100% agree. So if you think about a company, and there's staff and there's directors and there's HR managers and there's team employees, account managers, all the thing. So everyone's got different roles. And that's kind of like neurodiversity. So there are different conditions, and people react and have to work with these conditions in different ways, which means they have different needs. So, and there's always going to be a neurodivergent in every business, whether they have been diagnosed or whether they even know it. There is, and guaranteed there is, a neurodivergent in every business. But why is it important? It's because everyone works in different ways. Everyone has different needs. And I think there's quite a big stigma around being educated. And, you know, I've talked to a couple of CEOs very recently, and they've said, oh, I thought it would cost the moon. I thought it would be thousands and thousands of pounds for training, and it would be super expensive to like get equipment in. And I was like, no, it's not. You know, I appreciate you being educated, taking one of my workshops and actually saying to me, that is not what I expected.
It's interesting.
Yeah, so it's been amazing. It's been an amazing journey so far. But it's important because, one, we're all humans and we all have different needs and different wants, and how we operate as well, both neurodivergent and neurotypical people as well. And at the end of the day, without sounding too morbid, life is very short, and you don't know whether you have tomorrow or not. And your working life is such an incredible amount of your lifespan. So why wouldn't you want to make it the most positive, the most relaxed experience of your lifespan, and also having that comfort from your directors, from your CEOs, from your HR managers, you know, seeing them invest in stuff like workshops and courses and, you know, like your app and your books. It's getting educated. It's making that employee think, oh my God, I am valued and I am appreciated. And you know what? That neurodivergent is going to bloody fly. They're going to come with you with all the best ideas. They're going to think outside the box, going to make you more money, and they're going to really invest in you as a director, as a manager, and also themselves. And they're not going to want to leave, because staff retention, it just increases so much. When you give a little, you get a lot.
Absolutely. And it's about finding people's strengths and playing to the things that they are meant to do.
Absolutely.
When you have people working in the right roles in your business, like your business will thrive. Yeah, exactly. And it is also about supporting individuals, making them feel valued, making them feel accepted. The whole reason why I job hopped so much is because I was so different and people didn't get me. They didn't understand. You know, I was really emotional. I was really demanding. I was an oversharer. I talked too much. And you know, this is something that is very, very vital. And you know, now, being self-employed, being an entrepreneur, I actually find that I get so much work done when I don't work around other people. And I expect since the pandemic, I think that neurodivergents are probably thriving a bit more because they've got that work from home possibility. You know, they're not thrown into the lion's den where they've got to sit on a bank of desks with 8 other people, and all they want to do is share about what they've done at the weekend, even though it's like really inappropriate and they dance naked on a table or whatever. Okay, that's just me.
How was your weekend?
Yeah, I mean, that is the worst conversations. It's like, how's your weekend? It's like, I'm going to overshare every single last thing. Well, you know, I had food poisoning and I sat on the toilet and shit through the eye of a needle for the whole of the weekend. You know, that is exactly the sort of thing that makes people go, why the fuck are you telling me this? And I'm like, because my brain.
Or it's the complete opposite. And you're like, didn't do much, but really I cried all weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
So I need that emotional outlet to get my emotions regulated to see you today on Monday.
Exactly. But I mean, it's the most important thing. So I mean, I think every single employer out there, even if you've got like 2 or 3 staff, you still need to be aware of this. And also from a candidate attraction perspective, if you put that you are a neurodivergent supportive employer, you're going to get more people applying for your jobs. And everybody needs a diverse workforce, because neurodivergents have amazing abilities that can really enhance your world. You know, they can make you more money, they can make you more creative, they bring so many things to the table, and I don't think many people see that. They're like, oh, neurodivergents, they're going to be trouble. No, they're not. Utilize them.
I mean, you know, discussions like we're just having right now, having businesses, you know, writing books, talking to people, this is breaking that stigma down one day at a time. but we are getting closer. You know, if we think about not even 10 years ago, you know, there's been an increase in legislation, in bills, in parliaments. You know, more people are being more vulnerable about their stories, and it's such an incredible thing to be part of as well. It's such an amazing journey, and I'm so excited for like the future of neurodivergence in the workplace, and neurodivergence with their own lives in general as a whole scope as well. Like it's, oh, I'm so passionate about it.
No, and it's been absolutely amazing having you on. Where's the best place that people can find you?
Oh, absolutely. So we have a website, www.taniagerard.co.uk. We are on Instagram as well, taniagerard.co, and we are on Facebook, Tania Gerard Digital.
Amazing. Tania, it's been absolutely amazing having you on. I expect we'll probably get you back for something, because I think this is so important.
Yeah,
really, and maybe you could do us a talk or something for Mad About Money. Yeah.
It'd be amazing.
It's been fabulous having you on. I think we could probably like talk for hours and maybe even years. So I feel like we're gonna be best friends for life, because obviously that's what happens.
We'll meet each other for a coffee.
Oh hell yeah, we will. Yes, I love that. Guys, if you are listening to this on Spotify or on Apple Music, you're in the wrong place, because you could be listening to it on Mad About Money, and we actually have a new home. We are now in School app. So Mad About Money, although having our own app was really fun, we wanted to be somewhere where there were more people, and like somewhere that was easier for people to use. So if you want to download Mad About Money as an app, you can't do that from the App Store anymore. You have to go to School app. Just search for it. It is £1 a month to join. We use that £1 to go back into giving back to the community. So every single month we do giveaways where you can win food vouchers and stuff that helps you in your everyday life. I am Maddie Alexander-Grout. If you're not following me on TikTok, go and get me, Mad About Money Official. Maddie Talks Money on Instagram. Over and out from us. We'll see you next time.